Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is our sort of coda final session for our Blades in the Dark campaign. Last time we had a massive, massive heist, massive job that spanned two different tracks and ended up with a major place uh, on fire, both real and illusionary,
Mhm.
and a lot of noise being made, but also strong success. And the group got out of that situation with a good deal of loot, a file, which is the thing that you were asked to get to turn over, and we'll talk about what that is going to look like, as well as a prisoner in the form of Kagito's brother, who has been taken, and the group has returned back to their hideout. So, first of all, I'm not going to work through the XP questions. You can just mark 6 XP. I think everybody can mark 6 XP each. Uh, and you successfully executed operations, and I think you just short on another advancement, but very, very close for the group there. There's Ian. I'll bring them in. Uh, uh, so uh, essentially, Mark 6 XP. We got the crew stuff going on. Uh, So we're going to talk about heat and everything like that. Let me tell you what my plan is for today. Uh, what the structure is. I'm going to go through the heat and entanglement stuff. We're going to look at what that looks like. We'll look at the materials that you successfully retrieved from the heist, and I'll go over that. And then I want to give everybody a chance to call a scene or two before we go to epilogues. So this is because of the awkward structure, of course, of sometimes with Blades, you do get this sort of tag on, but I wanted to give everybody a chance and sort of room to breathe with these things before we move on. Now, let's talk heat, shall we? Uh, let's look at the thing here. How would I describe the heat here? Zero heat, smooth and quiet. Two heat contained, four heat loud and chaotic, six heat wild, devastating exposure. Um, and another heat for high profile or well connected target. Um, yeah, so I think we're going to do seven heat. Oh, but luckily all the heat clears because your wanted level goes up by one.
What are
So
the consequences of that?
well, what that happens is, in game, when I go to roll for entanglements now, I roll with your wanted level for
Oh.
determining the entanglements that occur. I roll that. Uh, as you get to the higher wanted levels, there are more problematic situations that can occur. And eventually, somebody needs to go to jail to help keep you all from having bad things occur.
Hmm.
But the heat goes back down to zero with the wanted level of two. So let me pull up the roller, and I will roll two dice here. And the highest is a four. So I think that we look at the factions here. I think that uh, you will sort of in the immediate aftermath of this, the Convergence, the corporate shaman, they make some very public declarations about what happened, and very much pointing fingers down at the lower levels of the city and to incendiary artworks, literally and figuratively, uh, and really making your life difficult. So as a group, you have a choice. You can either forfeit 2 rep, forfeit 2 coin, or take an additional -1 status with them.
How much coin do we have?
Well, you haven't gotten paid yet, so you
Okay.
have whatever you have. The crew has 3 coin, so you could easily pay it out of your coffers right now.
I was leaning coin myself.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
put
do it.
put that in there. Also, you will get enough rep that your rep is at the top of its track, meaning that should the group have to want to, they could certainly uh, spend coin potentially to expand and get more people and more recruits. But we'll come back to that. So that is the entanglements. What's in the book? That is the question, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, if you recall, uh, Mr. Betancourt, you were hired to deliver this book.
Sure was.
They want the book and they wanted it not clear that it had been taken. You have done that since it's not clear because all the things were taken out of the safe, and you had the brilliant role, a critical success for concealing the evidence there from Remy. Um, you have managed to get a chunk of money, which is going to raise up the sort of end money that you're going to get on this score, provided that you turn the book over. Otherwise, you're just going to get what's in the safe. Um, it You will open up this black dossier. There is a seal on it that you have to crack to do that. Um, uh, uh, are you cracking it, or are you doing something else with the seal? Let me ask you this.
What do you think would be involved in like replacing that seal if I wanted to make it look like I hadn't read it?
That would be a roll.
Sure.
And I think that feels like probably a tinker roll, actually, because you are trying to make an object.
Yeah. Do you think that I do you think that I would be justified in reaching out to my forger on the crew to help me?
That seems more than reasonable.
Hmm.
Let's in fact, make that roll if you want. If you want to mark stress to assist,
I would love to do that. I am gonna cap out in stress to do it, and
okay?
that seems appropriate to me.
Absolutely. We'll come back to your trauma here in just a second.
Yeah.
Uh, Svetlana,
Yes.
uh, is a seal. It's intricate. They have very specific cuts to them, very specific wax. Uh, let's have you make a roll to duplicate this.
Yes. So what are we rolling? Are we
Tinker
rolling
2 dice plus the
Tinker?
extra die for the assist.
It's a 3 dice. I can do that. Oops, I have to get the dice roller open. It is here.
I imagine this is the two of us like working through the night, because we
Mhm.
have a certain deadline that we're supposed to turn this in by. And so we're working through the night in the kind of drippy, ruined factory. I'm like holding the stuff in
Yeah,
place.
it's not the best environment, and I keep talking about the humidity and its problem for the wax. Can I push or something to?
Yes, you could spend 2 stress.
Yeah, because I 3 dice, the highest I
Hey,
got,
yeah, you could do that.
and then
Hey,
it'll give
and
me a
then,
trauma.
yeah, exactly. Not unlike.
Yeah, let's
So
do
you need to
it.
clear. You'll take one more stress over, so you'll be at 1 stress.
Yeah.
But we'll talk to uh, Lee and Svetlana what that trauma looks like
So does
in
that mean I
in.
add one more die, or how does that work? What
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
Okay,
You're
so I
rolling four
just
dice.
so do I re-roll all four or just one?
Oh, so you've already rolled 3 dice, so now you roll an additional die.
Okay, just one die.
What the what? This is, you guys are killing me again. For those of you at home, the three dice were a three, one, and a one. And then, of course, the extra die from pushing, which got you a trauma, so to be fair,
Yeah.
uh, is a six. So you'll be able to duplicate this.
Yep.
Um, and I just for purposes of the group, I would imagine that let's say all four of you are around when the book gets opened up.
Hmm.
Uh, and you will see the title page is the Miasma Intercession Project. And as you look through it, you will see that it is a long-term project clearly already in place to make the miasma grow stronger, to extend it throughout the lower areas, to drive out the wetlanders, to do this in a controlled way, to force the civilian population into particular areas, and then to be able to pull that back as they wish and allow the drylanders to take over. Uh, there are a number of pieces at the end that are clearly from people who worked on this, who are saying this is not good, this is wrong, this is that, and they are present in there. But the last sort of sheet and stamp that is on there uh, is from Chancellor Grace that says, "We'll be pursuing this project. Uh, Dissenters will be arrested, and this is to be kept need need to know only amongst the highest echelon in Drylander society. This this document is not to be shared. It is not to be shown, and it should be destroyed after reading."
Wow. How do we make this go public?
I can think of a few ways.
And two.
We've got a captive who could leak it.
That plus 6 XP could come in real handy because there's a move Remy can take to be able to make the near perfect copies of an object.
Hmm. I'm ready for that. And can we, is there like wait a minute. I've got an idea. Don't we have friends with the Pamphleteers Guild, Stronghold? We have a tier two, no? Yes, am I right?
The Pamphleteers Guild, you have a neutral
Oh, I thought we had a connection with them.
status with them, though, because your contact is with the Laborers Guild.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, yes.
but I think someone does work with the Pamphleteers. Isn't there someone's NPC connected?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought we had a connection with them. Let's find
No,
out.
we have a information broker that Lee is connected
There
to.
it is.
That's right.
Well, I mean, I think that does this book have kind of like verifiable information, like talking about there's a valve here and there's a pipe there that somebody could go and look at and see, oh my God, there's a pipe here that's concentrating this. You know what I mean?
I think that there is uh, uh, definitely a number of physical indicators that are present. This doesn't include the complete schematics, but enough that if it got out, uh, they would have to rush to remove that physical evidence.
Yes. I think we definitely need to leak this to as many sources as we can.
So, Remy, are you making those copies?
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
think as soon as we tell what that is his one focus now.
What does that look like
Um,
when you make these copies using your magic? What do we see happen?
I think he is starting to be able to make his illusions physical. He's not conjuring this out of thin air. He's not there yet, but he's taking like low quality paper and you see the illusion just run down it and settle into it, and it anchors as a copy of the book that looks near identical to the book. And he's just tightly focused on, he's got his little work table and he's not hearing anything going on around him as he's doing this.
Uh, so there is a limit to the number of copies that you can make before you have to deliver the original
Mhm.
to your client. Are you delivering the original to your client?
The copies are just as good.
Yeah, they in fact have potency for like passing this idea out and around.
Yeah.
To alter public perception. Yep.
Then let's fulfill the terms of the contract.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, unless we would now, do we take the ability to see spiritual stuff? Is that
Yep,
the
We
so
do.
I mean,
Yeah.
we would be able to examine this book and make sure there's not anything magical or special about it that isn't immediately apparent. Sort of make sure we're not handing off something we want to keep.
it definitely has a a magical scribe proofing on it. Like
Okay,
it is a kind of a void in magical detection, but it doesn't have any other protections on it.
gotcha.
Um, so uh, shall we assume that do you call Thunders to come here to pick it up, or do you take it to Thunders?
Why don't we call her here so it's on our turf? What do you
Probably
think?
best that we not move it around too much.
Obedient Thunders will arrive. She has a couple of blood mages with her. She's plays that down quite a bit, uh, in the sense of just, going on someone else's turf. I don't want to have problems occur. I hope that's cool. Um, and she will wait and take possession of the document. Um, and she will say, that was that you uh,
Go on, Miss Thunders.
that was very loud.
It was, but hey, I don't remember being quiet as part of the contract.
Are you certain that they will not realize that this document has been taken?
We've taken out a number of contingencies against that eventuality. Besides, Miss Thunders, can you look me in the eye and tell me that you're not, the information in this document is not loud?
What do you mean by that, Betancourt? I want clarification before I make a statement to you.
I mean, anything that was protected as stringently as this material. Now, I have no way of knowing. As you can see, the seal is intact. But anything protected as stringently as this is bound to be explosive,
It is.
if not handled with the proper care.
It is. And there are certain people who are this particular set of papers is going to help cement some relations for my organization. And in turn, you will be friends of ours. And as our boat is lifted, so will yours be. As I said, we will provide you with another claim, another piece of uh, resources for your organization, and we'll be providing you with significant amount of coin. I do have some idea of what is in this document, but you don't need to worry about that.
Hmm. I guess.
I'll take you at your word.
Hmm.
I do have one more question here, and then I have your payment and a gift. Um,
Well, we're all friends here.
yes, yes. By any chance, when you were operating in the tower, did you happen to cross paths with Jewel?
Other than the disguise which you so helpfully provided.
Right,
Or well, that actually I suppose came from Master Schned, an excellent
right.
craftsman. Uh, I did not see him.
And she'll look at the others.
Who?
Jewel, one of my agents. I have it on good authority that he was present there.
Hmm.
Oh, the
We were making it a point not to interact with people who were present. That would have compromised the mission, you know.
it was
And
my
sh
impression. It was my impression that members of your organization were not uh, sanctioned to be on collegium grounds.
Jewel has a connection. He is related to the late chancellor of the school.
Hmm.
And so I am aware that he was on the grounds, but I have not heard from him. So I thought I would check and see.
Well,
But
as you pointed out, it did get a little loud at the end.
all right. Well, I will take you all at your word on that. Um, I would be unhappy if we were not fair and open and above board with one another. So,
As you
uh,
pointed out, we are partners in mutual interest.
absolutely. Uh, so they will pull out a basically a briefcase filled with money that they will put, which will effectively, between that and the loot that you took, get you 12 coin.
Wow.
It is more money than any of you have seen in one place in your entire life. And she will turn to you, Svetlana, and say, kind of pull out from her pocket what looks like a very ornate paperweight, kind of beautiful swirling in it, beautifully made crystal. She will say, this can be used to extricate that spirit from you, and it will be stored in this object, and then you will give me the object back.
Hmm. Interesting. Um, I don't remember asking for you. I don't remember asking to give it to you.
Well, you asked me for help, and I had to go through channels to get this, and I had to secure a promise that I would return this to them.
Very
So
well. I will take the crystal and I will, should I decide to agree to that deal, I will return it with the fragment within it. Should I just change my mind, I will return it as it currently is.
I'm going to say this because I know your talents. Don't put spirit in it and then put that spirit in something else
Why not?
because that is not what I want to have happen. So
Okay.
you have a choice. I can give this to you now and you can agree to put the spirit in it, or I could just take this back to where I got it.
I'll take it.
She will hand you that.
Hmm.
I am glad. I do enjoy our conversations, and I would hate to think that our relationship might be cut short.
I feel the same way.
Well, it has been a pleasure doing business with all of you. Um, I hope that they don't come and burn this place to the ground.
That would be unfortunate.
And she will turn and go.
After she walks out, I turn to the others and I say, "Was that a threat?
Yes.
Do we need like a new place?"
I'm just picturing as she delivers that line, there's just a gush of water dripping down.
Yeah.
Not much to burn, to be honest.
Hey, my lab's in here.
Uh, so just for thoughts just to kind of think about this, if we were continuing on, you would get a new claim on your sheet. There's a bunch of different things, bonus dice to reducing heat, minus heat per score, all that kind of things. You would get, level 1 or 2 choices, and they would be delicious. So they are offering you that, and you do have more money than you know what to do with. Uh, so I would like to go around and let people call scenes here, either with one another or with an NPC, or tell me about something nefarious that you are doing. And I think because I've held it dangling out long enough, let us start with Kagito.
Right. So, folks, I'm thinking about what we want to do with Jewel. It's not in my moral code to kidnap and murder him. So, at some point, I think we need to let him go. But where we send him or under what circumstances we let him go, I think we should decide upon collaboratively. I think that he could be one person who we could compel to leak this document. Um, but shy of that, I don't know what else we could do with him to
Hmm.
make use of him.
I will throw out the suggestion that if you wanted him to think he was somewhere else or with someone else, that could be arranged.
I'd also like a few minutes with him. He has something I want.
Remy, what did you have in mind when you said thinking he's somewhere else with someone else?
Who do you want him to think held him? Who do you want him to think, or who do we think he might talk to or answer questions to?
A faction we don't get along with, probably.
Do you? You want to do a little play acting?
Or I will also point out he's a member of the Blood Mage organization that you just spoke to.
We could maybe have him think that he's speaking with subversives or moles within the blood mages to undermine
Ooh.
his trust in his own people.
Ooh.
Ah, I just had the image of Svetlana pretending to be that what's her name that was just here.
Obedia.
Media Thunders. I could pull that off. I know her fairly well.
Can I point something out while we're here?
Hmm.
Doesn't he also have a bit of the old Chancellor attached to him?
That's what I want access to him for.
Hmm. Okay, I just didn't want to make that let that go without.
Oh, yeah. My plan is to take the soul out of him into this thing and then do exactly what she said I shouldn't, which is move it into something else, an object that I can study and use. And then I'll take the soul that was in me, put it in the crystal, and give it to her. I will then have a fragment of the Chancellor's soul that I can do with as I wish, and I will no longer be burdened with his little fragment of will in me.
Assuming it all
Seems,
goes to plan, of course.
yes.
Of course, assuming this works as it's supposed to, and I can manage to move these around. I've never done it before, but how hard can it be?
So I know that the group can set up the physical space to kind of keep Jewel from kind of realizing where he is. You Mission Impossible him into a room that isn't damp, so he thinks he's in somewhere else. Um, Kagato, do you want to talk to him before you have Obedia Thunder's a duplicate there, or do you want to be there and lead the questioning, or do you not want to be there? What do you want to do, Kagato?
I would like to be present, but I don't think I should be leading the interrogation or whatever it is you want to call it. Um, I think at the end of it, once we decide what we are gonna do with him, I can deliver that message if we have any instructions for him that we expect him to abide by. I can deliver that as well. Um, I'm yeah, out of character. I'm looking at our social abilities, and me and Lee both have one dot in command, so we have that going for us. But that's what I'd like to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the room is set up. Jewel is there. He is black bagged. Um, and you all, you can go incognito. Remy, is Svetlana going to be playing Obedia? Are you going to be playing Obedia?
I
I'm
think
sh
Svetlana's definitely the better fit for this. Um, Remy can provide disguise assistance
might help.
and can certainly play a different role,
Okay.
but I don't think he's prepared to take on that one.
Okay. And where is Lee? Is Lee watching through the one-way glass or in the room?
I think to double down on the Mission Impossible thing, if you'll allow for it, Cogito, since this is your operation, I think that it would be interesting if Lee was playing a fellow detainee cellmate type situation, since he's already kind of sickly and can sell. Um, his face is burned, like he can probably sell, being in a bad way. So if you needed to like make an example, um, you have somebody else here who's like in on the grift.
Right. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm all for that.
Uh,
Sure.
uh,
So,
uh,
so
uh,
Lee is also black bagged.
okay. I imagine that there is a bit of when Jewel comes to and where am I? And you're able to answer back. And what is the sob story that you're giving there, Lee?
Um, I think that Lee is going to respond in a kind of like exhausted, resigned tone. Um, there's no use in struggling. These these blood bastards have us, and they're not going to let us go. Not until we tell them what they
Blood
want.
bastards, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I can't get them to. I can't them. I can't. I haven't been able to get them to talk sense.
Oh God. Oh God. Starts hyperventilating a little bit there.
Yeah, it's better that you get that out now. Um, just if you a word a word of advice, stranger. If you think you have something that they want, I would just give it to them. Just, his voice breaks a little bit.
And I imagine the door opens and somewhere you've got like a recording of a big heavy door opening
Yeah.
rather
Funk,
than
yeah.
this little wooden door that you have, and footsteps will come in ominously. The three of you and uh, Kagato, you can take the bag off of Jewel, who, you know, uh, still has some soot and things on him from the events, and looks up at you, and starts to say something, and then sees Obedia Thunders, and he says, "Brother, what is this,
Hi, Joel.
brother?"
We need to have a conversation about what's happening with the blood mages and what your plans are.
Uh, uh, what are you talking about?
And now, out of character, is there any particular place people want this conversation to go? For my part, I think it's a good idea to at least cap it off by having him, or at least to try to get him to agree to leak this document, so it's not traced back to us. It's kind of a hit his doing sort of a thing. Um, but past that point, it sounds as though I mean, for my purposes, like for my story arc, it basically sounds as though he um, probably arranged to have most of my immediate family killed. Um, and he's a bad guy. And that's sort of all I needed to know from him.
Obedia, I don't know what my brother has been telling you, but I was concerned. I was concerned about the group that you hired to undertake this mission. They are full of my brother aside, they're full of failures and misfits. A political street artist, a crazed inventor, a reactionary fallen from the top, who simply wants to get even, has daddy issues. These were not, it's not stable people. So I took it upon myself to also go in to attempt to get the documents. Uh, but your judgment clearly was superior. I was unable to complete it. I assume and hope that those you hired were, since they're still alive.
Why did you fail us?
I was I was waylaid by my brother.
Hmm. And why was your brother? Why didn't you know about your brother?
I knew that I knew he was among the crew that you'd hired. I just it was I was trying my best, but clearly it was not good enough.
Hmm. And are you aware of the contents of the documents you failed to get?
And you see him stop there, and you see his mind clearly, like he's starting to run some things. Um, this is the point at which I want a sway roll.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, I'm going to give you all a bonus die for the situation.
Hmm.
And who wants to roll the sway?
Well,
I've got
probably,
sway and Remy has sway.
yeah, I would go with one of you two because I have zero. I am willing to whatever push and devil's bargain and all sorts of fun things to make it work. But what do you think?
And Remy hasn't said much, but if he's kind of stage managing this,
Okay,
if
that
we want
seems
to frame
fair.
it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's 2 dice right now as we stand.
Hmm.
and is
Uh,
there a way I can help?
you can push yourself, take 2 stress, and give an extra die.
I'm gonna.
That's 3 dice, Remy.
Right. Um, I'll push 2 for fun on this. I want this to go well.
Well,
Can we do an
it
assist and a push both, or am I
can't do
misremembering?
an assist and a push.
Okay,
Hmm,
scratch that. Okay, and I think we're good as is.
3 dice.
Yep. Exact
What?
same.
161.
One,
Why
six,
do you keep
one.
doing this to me? Why do you keep? I cannot believe you guys.
The dice tell part of the story. What are you gonna do?
So he launches into a series of apologies and statements and things like that. And as he grovels, as he goes on, it becomes increasingly clear that he's trying to make it seem like he doesn't know what's in it. But it's also becoming clear that he is certain that Obedia does know what's in it and that Obedia has a particular buyer that she is selling that document to. And that he clearly was going to get the document and sell it to another interested party. Um,
Mhm.
and I think there is that moment when he like finally kind of sputters out his last little bit of breath on that and kind of looks and say, uh, brother, you'll speak for me, right?
I won't speak against you if you're willing to cooperate. And I kind of look at the rest of everyone, and I think, and it's sort of as if to say, like, is this now when we want to bring up the document and
Yeah.
leaking it?
Yeah. If you kind of cue for us to get involved, because Svetlana wants to allow Kogito time, time to resolve their brotherhood relationship or whatever, if there is something there. But if this is a time for someone else to step in, Obedia steps in and says, because of your failure, that document is now going to be sold by a different party. Part of the team that we hired double-crossed us, and they are now going to take it and sell it to some of our enemies. And we are left with no choice but to take a most drastic action, but one that will deal a devastating blow to our enemies. And that's to go public with this document, because that will render it worthless.
A brilliant plan, Lady Thunders. Yes, absolutely. I applaud your creativity.
Mm. So what we need is your help to make this happen.
Oh,
This, Jewel, is your chance, your last and only chance
absolutely.
to make up for your failure.
I can get that out there. I can undercut them before they make the deal, make the transaction.
That's right.
I will get it out in the streets. I have a network of people I can talk to. I have old contacts. I can do this.
Right. Well, that is what we want because our enemies have already received a partial payment for the delivery of this, but they haven't delivered it yet. And the party that wants to buy it will be very angry when this is public.
Please, allow me to.
And then Obedia looks at Cogito like, all right, take it away.
So again, this is kind of an out of character thing. Do we
Sure.
know, do we have a sense as to like what we do with him afterward?
I thought we
Because
wanted to just let him loose with a
Yeah.
copy of this to
So what is
distribute
going to
it.
okay.
happen is you are not going to be pinned for distributing this document. He is going to be pinned for distributing this document.
Mhm.
So At that point, you will have put him in a number of crosshairs,
Got it.
and he will
Do
have
you,
to either deal with that or get out of town.
yeah, I was going to say, do you want to recommend that he get out of town as soon as he does this?
I mean, yeah. I'll mention to him. From
Maybe
here
lay
on,
low.
you can choose to lead your life however you want. Just understand that you may need to lay low a little while, or better yet, leave, at least for a little while.
Yeah. Till the
Oh,
storm blows over, and then you could be welcomed back
absolutely,
as
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your mercy. Absolutely. Um, and I imagine we cut to him being bagged again, him waking up somewhere else in town with a stack of these documents, uh, beautifully copied, a good dozen and a half of these, him grabbing it up and then him fleeing into the night and starting to distribute them out. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Okay. Let's take a quick five, and then we're going to come back, and I want to let everybody else have a chance to call a scene here. Sound good?
yep, sounds
Okay.
good. I will
So
I will have to step
we,
away for just a moment,
sure.
just because I've got kids' lunches in the test room.
Absolutely. We will see Jewel, vanish off like a thief in the night, there, and we'll wait to see what becomes of him, at the end. Um, Let me come to Lee. Lee, I'd like to give you the opportunity to call a scene with PC or with an NPC. If you want to do a downtime action, you can do that, but we don't even have to really worry about that structure of play. We're more interested in like giving you a chance to explore some of your threads here.
I have a thread that I'd like to explore.
Okay.
I think that this is how long do you think it's reasonable to say that it is from this kind of sham interrogation to when Jewel wakes up? Matters some hours?
I think you can gauge that as you want. Like I think you have absolute control of that between the people that you have operating with you.
Great. I would love to take one of these extremely convincing copies of the manuscript
Uh-huh.
and send an invitation to meet with Master August in the flower-filled Alcazar.
And who does he believe the invitation is from?
From me.
From you. Even though he wants you dead, he will show up. You know that he has also drafted other people to be, you know, in the area, watching over things, keeping an eye on things. You definitely get that feeling of pressure, but he also is extremely curious about why you would call him after all of this. Master Betancourt.
He's sitting on a bench, just like I'm imagining like cherry blossoms all around.
Yeah.
Um, Master August. Happier circumstances than the last time we met. Uh,
Yes, and please address me as Chancellor August, despite your best attempts
my
to,
congratulations on
yes.
your ascension. Well, you see, Chancellor, uh, there were some outstanding obligations that I had to fulfill before um, before I could be free of all the strings attached in the lower city. That being said, I am not without a sense of obligation in the rest of my life. You made me a very generous offer, and after I When I came to realize what the contents of this manuscript were, I
You see him kind of like he doesn't know like what manuscript.
is, gonna offer the document.
Roll me 1d6.
Okay.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Just one?
Just one die
No
six.
modification?
No mod.
Okay.
The fate die.
It's a 4.
He narrows his eyes and you see him look at you and what is this? And
Well,
he says it very honestly, like clearly he's never seen this before.
this is the contents of this was the object of my presence at the Collegium the other night. It was my job
Take it.
to retrieve this. Now, before anything else, I should assure you that for my own security, I have made one copy, and I have people in place to ensure that I leave here safely. And when I do so, provided that we have come to an arrangement, that additional copy will be released to you.
You have my curiosity. Very piqued here, Betancourt. May I look at this document that you have proffered me? I recognize its officialness. I recognize this kind of black dossier case. May
Please,
I?
it is it's a beautiful day in the Alcazar.
And he will open it up and you will see him start to read through it. And you will see him do his level best not to show the shock that comes over him as he reads this. And you will see him go through and look at everything. And he will stop and then he will shut the document and he will hand it back to you.
I hope you can understand why the sensitivity of this matter transcends any personal grievance that I may have held.
Kind of looks off like he isn't meeting your eyes. And he says, when all is said and done, when you have finished what you need to do with that document, if I still live, the offer of employment to you still stands. But I want you to know, Lee, that I am an absolute bastard. And I put you in harm's way. And I threw you to the dogs. But I would never have approved this. And if I had known, I would have penned a letter against it.
Why do you think that I'm here speaking to you now?
I hope it's that you are telling me that you are going to deal with this situation.
I think that that's a little above my pay grade. I'm I'm here because I know that I'm outclassed. And I can understand that you would want to keep this information out of the wrong hands. I have already, sight unseen, received some staggeringly generous offers for this information.
You cannot. You have to get this out there, Lee. This is not a question of money. This is not a question of wealth. This is a question of right and wrong. And I am sorry that I put you in a situation that you would even hesitate.
I think Lee stands up. He's like leaning on his cane. And he has the document in his hand. And he says, when you say you want me to get this out there, you want for this to be known.
This is mass murder. This is we we must be better than this.
He's standing there and looking at him in shock. I know you're a bastard, August, because I am too, and I learned, as I said, from the best. How do you expect me to believe that you have the best interests of anyone but yourself in mind?
Because I'm going to let you walk away with that document, because I'm not going to do or say anything to cause you problems, because it needs to be out there. I You have no reason to ever trust me again, Master Betancourt. But I am truly sorry.
He sits down heavily on the bench and just and kind of like tosses the document carelessly onto the bench between them. It's just Lee.
You can be a better man than I ever was, Lee.
I thought I already was, but maybe no, I am. And you can be sure that this will find itself into. You can be sure that this will get itself where it needs to go.
Thank you. And he will stand up. And I think now, like, he has a cane that has always been more of an affectation. But I think when you see him leave now, he's actually leaning on it. Like the weight of what has just happened is weighing on him, and he will walk out, flower petals falling in his wake. It's very Kurosawa-esque there as he's gone. Does that feel like a good scene?
I was going to try to sell it back to him with the knowledge that it was about to become public anyway, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the fate roll was did he know or did he not know? So that was my role there. Uh Remy, let's give you a chance to call a scene here.
Yeah. Um, I think I would like to tie off that thread with Emmeline's performance
Okay.
and kind of tie it into aftermath of the big job last time. And I don't know that we necessarily need to go into a full scene. I mean, you tell me if you see an opportunity, but I think he wants to do essentially a similar thing, except that he is also going to insinuate his magic into the performance and twist it and make an illusion of his own before the roof blows up.
Okay. Uh yeah, let's have you roll a tune. Let's see. This is more of a kind of a scale thing more than anything else here.
Mhm.
Do you want to push yourself?
Yeah, we'll definitely push
Okay.
and still does have the mirror.
Okay.
What's on here? Mm.
1,
Ah, there
2,
you go.
3.
There's your Olo.
I think that when you go to the theater, you are in there getting ready to kind of maybe do your presentation and stuff when you hear the jackboots coming. And like this place gets raided while you're there.
Mm.
Um, People get grabbed up from the audience. There's clearly some sort of declaration of no public performances now and no public gatherings that comes down. Uh,
Mhm.
and you will see, you're about to, I mean, you have it planned out. You know what you're going to do. You've got it all set. And then suddenly there are gendarmes grabbing Emmeline off the stage and throwing her in cuffs, and grabbing everyone backstage and arresting every performer here, and pulling people out and throwing them into to prison wagons outside. Um, uh, uh, I think there is a moment when, as that's happening, Emmeline maybe sees you,
Mhm.
uh, uh, and is stunned, flabbergasted, because to her it almost looks like you've done this.
Mhm. I think there's maybe a moment when she's looking at him like, okay, are you going to do something? You gonna, and he does something, but not in that direction. He's not
Okay,
trying to rescue. Um, I think if you're okay with it, that he was concealed enough that he didn't get grabbed.
right.
Um, I think the finale of the performance, this was some very traditional Drylanders format of a performance, and the finale was supposed to be a view of the stars and the moons that would center the Drylander moon. Remy's version of that was going to be the Drylander moon coming down towards the viewer. And I think he gets off just that image.
Okay,
He can't do the full thing he wanted to do, but I think
you make your
yeah,
statement.
yeah, he makes the statement in preference to doing anything to help the
Okay,
people that have gotten picked up.
absolutely. And there's a scream and cry, and then there are people from, you will see the Department of Bureau of Alignment that are running now, trying to find the mage that did this. And you will flee out with the techniques that your group has developed to evade capture, and get one ahead. And I think the last shot is of Emmeline, at the bars of the paddy wagon, shouting your name as she's driven away. Svetlana,
Yes.
I'd like to give you a chance to call a scene.
Well, I suppose I'm going to do the old soul swap.
Okay. Cut back to before Jewel is taken out. Um, and you can, I assume you'll get that soul, like what how are you doing this? Are you pulling it out of you and then putting it into something else and then pulling the soul out of Jewel? How what's the farmer and the pig and the
Yeah,
wolf here stand?
right. So one thing that Svetlana's unsure of is whether Obedia can tell the difference between the fragment in her and the fragment in Jewel. So she thinks it's wisest to give Obedia the fragment in her.
Okay.
So what she does is she goes to Jewel when he is incapacitated, and she's going to draw the soul out of him into the crystal.
Okay.
She wants to then transfer the soul from the crystal into an object she gets to keep, emptying the crystal,
Okay.
and then she will draw her own fragment out into this crystal to deliver to Obedia.
Let's have you roll a tune.
Yes. And I think she would. I will push myself. 2 for 5. That's 2 dice I get to roll. Is there any abilities? Let's see. Um, I can make inanimate objects move on their own as if possessed by a ghost. Probably not.
Yeah.
I have arcane implements as one of my items. I don't know if that's a thing we can use
I
because
think
this
that's
isn't a
giving you
job.
some fictional positioning to be able to do this.
Okay.
I think it's 3 dice.
Okay. Rolling with 3. 4, 5, 4. I got a 5. Is there a devil's bargain or something I could
Oh,
take if
we do that beforehand.
oh right, I
Um,
forgot, yeah.
uh, I think you will get that the souls transferred and moved around. What is the object that you're putting the soul in at the end?
I think I have another crystal that I think is what's the word I'm looking for? Physically similar,
Hmm.
right? Like it's maybe, but it's not quite the same, right? So this is some sort of very rare crystal that's been treated in a certain way. I'm just using like a piece of quartz or something, that's similar in durability and strength, but not the same. So I knew that this is a weak spot, but I don't have time to get the fancy crystal.
What is the trauma that you took when you stressed out? I
I
forgot to
did.
check in with
We
you on that.
did. How about, hmm, what trauma would I take? I mean, they're all so yummy. I think I want to take, maybe I want to take obsessed.
Okay.
And I think one thing I've become obsessed with is learning how. So what I do with inanimate objects, where I put spirits into them and move them around, this crystal and this fragment I have, I want to try and build like a soul catcher,
Okay.
right? Something that next time a mage dies, will actually capture a whole bunch of those, and then I can use them to power my experiments.
All right. Uh, so I think sort of there's not really appropriate to do a cost or consequence thing here. It's just that I think that you will find yourself like doing this and realizing kind of you've managed to do it, but this is so on the edge of what you know how to do. Like you're like, this is a whole field I'm going to have to study. If I want to actually do anything with this, there is so much to it. I'm going to need to get a hold of a zombie. I'm going to need to, check out these animated objects, like I think that suddenly that monofocus falls on this. Does that seem fair?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, she's walking a dark path. She's like, blood mages are cool in the way that they manipulate people's blood. I want to do that, but for their minds and their
Right.
souls. I'll use that as my fuel. Yeah, that's cool. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
And I think Wikipedia will take the object
Hmm.
uh, and seems to accept it, no questions.
When I bring it to her, I say, I would like to make an arrangement with you. I would like to learn how this process works, the making of these crystals, the transferring of these souls. I want to know what you know about doing this. And in exchange, if and when I do produce results in this research, I will share them with you. Love you, Mom.
And she says, I will have to talk to the person who made this for me
Yeah, you could put me in
because,
direct contact with that person. That might be
well,
more convenient.
the problem is that they are a highly placed artificer in the Bureau of Alignment.
Ah, yes, I see that being a problem. Okay. Well, I have already made a few
I'm sure we can
innovations
work
that I'd
on
be
anything.
happy to
If
share.
everything goes well with the
Hmm.
sale of this document, I'll be in a great position to assist you, and everything will be great.
Oh, okay. Well, fantastic. I hope that goes well for you.
Narrator's voice. It did not go well.
Right? Oopsie.
Because I do think that we will see this montage of this document getting out, of it getting to the pamphleteers, of it getting to underground organizations, of it getting spread out, of it getting printed, of it getting distributed out. And while I don't know what the end is going to be, we will see the roiling of people fomenting and angry and mass gatherings in those places that you mentioned about that are physical places that have evidence that there are people that descend on those to make sure that they don't get pulled down so that they can be proven. And I think that is out there. And I think that the blood mages are not in great shape because Jewel gets fingered for it. Blood mages now want Jewel dead, but also now the blood mages are the ones that are associated with this document getting out there. And I think that within a few days, you're going to lose contact with the Bee of Thunders as the Blood Mage Underground goes way underground.
Right. But I do know a high up artificer at the Bureau of Alignment. There can't
Yes,
be many of those.
right.
So I'm good. That'll be next. That's the next step in my obsession. Because I will eventually become a soul mage.
Yes. Um, so let me ask you this. Do we want to do another once around, or are we in a place where we want to do our epilogues?
I'm feeling epilogue but I had a kind of smaller arc than some of the other characters. So
I'm good on my end. I think my
Okay.
arc is pretty much where it needs to be.
Oh, then, uh,
Like,
let's go to epilogues. Let's, and we can look at the short term and we can look at the long term. Like, what do we see in the midst of this revolution, this aftermath? You can tell me what happens with this, and then we'll maybe let's do the short term and let's come around to the long term. So, Kagito, in this immediate aftermath, as suddenly the city explodes, it was already a tinderbox. We established that at the start, and a match has been put to the flame. What do we see Kagito doing?
Um, I think that you kind of see me, um, not through okay, let me just restart.
Sure.
I'm gonna be playing factions against each other, not through social manipulation. I could never be a second Lee Arthur, for example, but it's gonna be a lot of planting things in places where, oh, it'd be really bad if someone found this. Um, Doing acts of sabotage to, at pivotal moments, open factions up for dismantlement or being struck by an opposing faction. Basically, I just become kind of this shadowy force that subtly moves kind of all of the people I want to move in the direction I want them to go, even though no one knows that I even exist.
Okay.
No one, at least, except of course for Jewel, and he's not here.
Right. Uh, so you move in the shadows, you place the objects, you crack some of the factions, you start exposing their vulnerabilities. Lee, in this immediate revolution that you have lit the fuse for, in this, what do we see you doing?
well, the thing about revolution, and especially a destructive one like the one that we're saying is taking place here, um, is that there's a lot of money to be made in the aftermath, especially for someone who is highly placed in the Guild of Architects. Um, I think that uh, there's an office somewhere high in a tower, and there's a desk out front of the office with a very well dressed Celia sitting in a secretarial position. Um, and a letter is reaching Lee Arthur's desk. Um, and the letter is perfectly, what's the word that I'm looking for? Innocuous, except for one asterisk placed out of, you know, it seems like maybe just a typo. An asterisk and an underscore where maybe there would have been a word or a letter, but then somebody maybe hit the backspace. Uh, I think that Lee is putting on this sort of face of, there's a real story here. There's a real story of like someone who had a tough go of it, but loved the city so much that he, sort of rose above adversity and made a comeback to return to the Guild of Architects. And that's very useful for somebody who is helping Kagito to like coordinate these drops. Um, I like to imagine that we're sort of, you know, what's that giant fungus in Oregon that is like spread across like dozens of miles or hundreds of something. We're not maybe seeing each other on a daily basis or even a weekly or monthly basis anymore. But the mycelial body from the bog has spread.
I love it.
Nice, nice. Remy, what do we see of you during these hot nights of torches and revolution?
I think Remy had also previously picked up the trauma of obsessed as well as
Oh,
reckless. And I think he is now locked in on this. He is targeting any kind of art, culture, monument, anything that the Drylanders are building to tell the story of themselves, and especially what they're using to stake their claim here. Um, he particularly likes this technique of what is illusion and what is not. I'm going to weave it together, but different variations keep popping up here, there, and everywhere. I think he probably does manage to get arrested a couple of times, but never quite in a context where they can put everything together. And so he can either slip away or he can play, low level nobody and get himself released, and keep it going. Um, Officially is a nobody knows who he is, lone wolf type, but the timing on some of these explosions is awfully convenient to some of these other things that are going on.
Interesting, interesting. Working through the network, spreading that out. Svetlana, what do we
hmm.
see of you in the short term?
Short term is Svetlana has no love for the Drylanders. She was one of them. She was kind of exiled, and she made her a home down in the muck, and that's where she wants to stay. She allows the others. They seem to have this revolutionary nonsense covered. So she focuses on creating this her master plan of building a soul catcher, if you will, because in the coming revolution, many mages will die. And she wants to create them, maybe build a big battery to store all of this. And she just keeps thinking, well, I'll figure something out to do with all of that power at one point. I'll deal with that later. That's a tomorrow problem. And she becomes really obsessed. She doesn't bathe, you know, she doesn't leave her lab. Um, she's barely eating. because she's just manically obsessed with this project of hers.
Excellent. Let's then go back in reverse order. Let's talk about that tomorrow problem. What
Mhm.
is the long-term epilogue? What do we see of Svetlana in the future?
In the future, she came up with an idea of what to do with all the soul fragments. She devised a way to purify them of their individuality, of their personality, make them pure spirit, and then ingest it. And after having done so, she changed and became something other than human. Um, and it gave her eerie powers. But she discovered, unfortunately, after ingesting all of this and becoming so much more powerful, ageless even, that she now has a hunger.
Nice. Remy, what do we see of you in the long term, in the future, in this city?
I think people see less and less of Remy himself. I think some of these techniques spread. So at any given point, you're never sure, was that him? Was that a copycat? Was that a lieutenant? I think in the throes of the revolution, there is some grand, like some massive building goes sliding off a cliff, or just part of the landscape just entirely changes shape. And there's some iconic image of just the silhouette standing on top of a dome. You got to get the revolutionary image in
Hmm.
there, holding the flag, even though that's not something he ever really did or was involved in. He's got to get the image in there. Just this silhouette against the firelight as some part of the city is burning, and nobody really knows what happens after that. There are dozens of different stories floating around, that he was killed in the fighting, that he slipped away, that he's still there pulling strings behind it. And I don't know that I even want to settle on one.
No, no,
I
I
like
think that's
several of
fair.
those.
You become an idea.
Mhm.
I love it. Lee, you're muted.
With the ascension of now Chancellor August, um, Lee has taken on a position of more authority within or responsibility, I guess you could say, to the point where he now is a mentor in his own right and is bringing up apprentices. Um, and just because of the nature of, the kind of class character of the Guild of Architects, Lee comes into contact with more than one young, idealistic, um, hothead, really, who could pose a danger to the operation that we've got going on here. I think that he probably thinks that he's going about it in a better way than August did. I'm not sending people off, I'm not sending people down to the miasma. I'm sending them off world, to some place, they'll get to see some sights, build some character, and they'll just not be in a position to where they can um, destabilize the operations here. And a few years go by. August has stepped down, and we can see the ceremony of promotion where it's now Chancellor Betancourt who is ascending to the position, and everybody is, there's confetti in the air, and there's a sort of a crowd of onlookers, and one of these, you know, maybe a figure that has taken on some of the aesthetics of the Remy kind of movement, whose face he recognizes in the crowd, someone who has come to look on this happy day with less than happy intentions.
Nice. And we cut to the shadows. What do we see with Kagito in the long run?
I'm thinking head of a small underground cell of insurgents, also made up of very biopunky, genetically modified people like myself. But even then, not even my followers really know who I am. Like I ran a Hearts of Wulin game one time where there was this faction leader who was basically just a cloaked guy with like a glove, and that was all you saw of him. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. You have this group of people who are all sort of unified under a common shared goal. I'm sort of in charge of them, but no one exactly knows who I am, and I'm very, very hard to trace and track down. Rumors are that I don't even exist really, and that I'm actually multiple people. That kind of thing.
Nice. I love that all of your stories are all about you all becoming different people, like mirrors of yourselves or idealized versions or the opposite of what you hoped for. Uh, 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 Excellent. That's our game. That was our Blades in the Dark series. Thank you all very much. I just wanted to do a quick once around for any stars, things you want to throw out, thoughts that you have here as we wrap up. David.
I just want to say first, Lowell, thank you for running it. This was a lovely time. I thought you also did a fantastic job of making this final session work. I was kind of wondering how it was going to play out with it kind of ending on a downtime
Hmm.
session as opposed to a mission. This worked really well, actually. Having everyone get a chance to call some scenes to set themselves up and then going straight into epilogues that are short and long term. I thought that was a really solid structure, so I'm going to steal that
Yeah.
in the future. Um, but otherwise, big thanks to Gwen, Annie, and Ian. It's been lovely getting a chance to play with y'all. I thought your characters were all fantastic. Everyone filled a really cool niche, I think, within the group. And I had never played Blades in the Dark formally before, but I really like the system. I will also say, Lowell, I thought the idea to have us do the shared setting creation at the very beginning, as opposed to going with the default setting in the book, was a great idea. I'm gonna think about doing more of that in my own games going forward.
I love doing it. Like that. That's just absolutely my jam. I do want to say this. The only reason that this worked is because you guys built such good characters. Like you had good threads, you had connections with NPCs, you had good storylines that justified us taking the time today to be able to dig into them and build on them. So yeah, I just want to say that I was nervous and then I was like, no, you guys have great stuff. And I want to see how it plays out. Ian.
Likewise, what David just said. I think that I have been fortunate to get the chance to play with both David and Gwen before, and it was really wonderful to sort of um, discover new facets of you as players. And I've never played with Annie before, and I'm really looking forward to playing with you again in the future. I also really appreciated the setting creation, and in fact, just used these same cards. I I hope you'll forgive me, lol. I just copied the tab instead of going to
Oh no, absolutely.
um, but it worked so well that I think I probably will do that for the whole set in the future. As far as a wish goes, I was very, very glad to get to play Blades sort of, as close to down the middle as I think a group like ours is likely to get. I think I really would like to get to interact more with like the turf and kind of, you know, spending a long time at like a high heat level in the future. I can definitely see a way that a character like Lee would thrive in an environment where he was having to constantly be pitting different forces against each other, you know. But I think everything that happened in this game was enough to sort of like whet my imagination for what that kind of thing would be like in the future. So Yeah, thanks all for a very for a lovely game.
I think one of the interesting things is that when you hear about some of the early Blades in the Dark games and even the John Harper and things like that, they're talking about doing a couple of scores in a session and doing downtime and stuff like that. And uh, and I think that's the point at which the crew stuff uh really starts to build up when you're doing a lot of those. But when you give the game time to breathe, I think that some of those things are a little bit harder to engage with. They are super fun. Like I ran when Blades first came out, I ran it for about a 2.5 year game. That even by the end I wasn't sure about the rules. But uh, that building that up is fun. There is a real pleasure to getting those pieces on there. It's why, honestly, I think uh, my favorite Fortune Art game besides Girl by Moonlight is Mountain Home because all of that building of the crew stuff and building of the place is so baked in, and it is a fun set of tools. Annie,
Yeah, and I'm going to be a little squirrel here. I had one thought off of that, which is I wonder what it would be like to start a Blades game at a higher level where you have some of that heat and stuff already baked in and focus
oh,
in on those
interesting.
elements.
Yeah, I started
Um,
this at tier one, which is a little higher. They start you at tier zero, but you could probably make a case for doing it even a little further up. Yeah.
mhm. Straight thought. The other thing I forgot to do, there was one little moment that I wanted to include and I forgot. Before Remy goes off on that scene to crash Emmeline's performance, or I think while he's gone on that, Svetlana will find just a handful of chocolates scattered on her desk in the workshop,
Nice.
just to really tie that off.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, same as what everybody else has said. I loved how this came together. I love how it got so epic in just this last bit with the scenes and the epilogues, and everybody really escalated with how we did that, and it completely suited the characters and it completely suited the trajectory they were on, even though we were hitting fast forward. And just love how that came together. Um, and yeah, just thank you guys for doing this. I came into this with not a whole lot of experience, and my first Blaze campaign I ever played was kind of the marker of how much I didn't know. It was good, but it was very much a wow, I'm the newbie here, aren't I? And so this is nice to see how much has changed in that time, even though I still feel fairly new at it. And I think everybody provided great opportunities, even from the world building and the city building, and from that very first confrontation between Lee and Remy kind of set everything else in motion. Um, and just yeah, all you guys and everybody else taking the opportunity to play off of each other too. It didn't get overloaded in any one direction. It didn't feel like, a bunch of characters all out for themselves. And I really liked where we ended it, that it wasn't necessarily a happy ending. It wasn't a cynical ending, but it fit the story.
Awesome. Awesome. And Gwen.
Ditto to what everyone said, but let me say some specific stuff. I this was my first kind of extended exposure to Blades in the Dark. I'd only ever played like one, two, three shots, and I really enjoyed getting to get into the mechanics that come alive in those longer play. I really enjoyed the crew and the factions and the various downtime features that mattered a lot more when you're playing longer stretches. So that was fun. Um, but I think what I really appreciated was I don't know how to put it exactly, but there was like a narrative realness to this game that I did not experience in the other Blades in the Dark, Forged in the Dark games I've played, where in other ones, it just kind of feels like an episodic heist game, right? But by the end, we had really traveled an arc and it had that kind of feel like a movie like The Sting or something, where
Hmm.
there's all of these different people that come together for a time to pull something amazing off, and then they just go their separate ways. And that was kind of always how it was going to be. And there's almost like a melancholy element to that ending that way,
Hmm.
right? And during the midst of them working together, you could still see that these people are just so distinct from one another. Um, I don't know. I mean, if that makes sense to
Oh,
everybody, I
absolutely.
mean, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that because that's what I had felt before was missing from my experiences with Fortune the Dark Games was the narrative meat.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was just a function of how great y'all are at role play or how you set up so many great scenes that kind of allowed us to dig into that, etc. I mean, phew, yeah, that was amazing. So, and I really, really like the let players call scenes.
Hmm.
As far as I know, and I haven't read every word in that book, that's not a standard issue
Yeah,
feature
that's
of
not,
Blades in the Dark.
no.
But oh my gosh, it makes the game come alive for me, 100%.
Mm.
So, I really want to thank you for that. I don't know, David, Kogito was such an interesting, tragic kind of character, right? Um, Ian, I mean, Lee was such almost like I mean,
Bastard.
he was, but he was also like a pressure cooker, you know? Like you get the impression that he had so much bottled up and he was so controlled. And you just portrayed that in such a cool way. And Remy, I mean, I think that you, in a way, are where your character was like the through line for all of these different people in their own heads, messing with their own crap. Because the big arc where we ended up bringing down this, the Drylander, it was all about, it was like this political revolutionary act, and that was always Remy's eye on the prize. And so that was really wonderful. And yeah, so I mean, 100% all around. There's a part of me that like I wish I could have gone back and I liked Svetlana. I enjoyed the hell out of playing her, but I kind of made her as like a fun, silly gadgeteer because I was thinking like this is gonna be a heist game. I'll just be a goofy gadgeteer person, and I felt like I wanted more character
Hmm.
arc than I started out with, and that was on me. That wasn't on anybody else. So the next time I play a Forge in the Dark game, I'm gonna think more narratively about character creation than I had. I could go on and on, but I'll stop. Lowell, it was wonderful. Thank you. I always enjoy playing with you, and as you
Thank you.
as well, the rest of you. Way to go. We
Yeah,
rule.
it is, as a GM, it is a pleasure to run a game with such good characters and such good players. Like that, just bottom line. That it makes it worth doing. This is the first time I'd run in what was for me the mid-afternoon Sunday, and I really like this slot. Like, uh, because I've run more in the mornings on Sunday. I've tried campaigns on that, and that is exhausting. Middle of the day is nice. I get up, I get to do my stuff, I have some lunch, I play a nice game, and then I get to do stuff in the evening. So, and especially with how strong this game was. So, I do want to point out, I could sing the praises of everybody, but uh, in that moment when Lee realized that that he was that your mentor like was not going to take the bait, and that things had the ground was quicksand under you was so fucking good. Like just boom, right on it. So had a great time. I loved everything. Very much enjoyed it. I am going to stop the recording